Hello and welcome to the site view on Asake Online. My name is Leslie Moyo. October is recognized globally as the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, a time dedicated to spreading public awareness of the disease, encouraging early detection, and supporting those who are affected by the disease. My guest today on the program is Lucia Bopoto. She is a breast cancer survivor as well as an early detection advocate and a creative strategist. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Leslie. Thank you so much.
Um, I was just going through the stuff that you do, and there's a quote that you said that stuck with me for a long time, where you said surviving cancer starts the moment when a diagnosis has been done. Maybe that's just a powerful statement to me. Maybe let's start there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also liked that because I read it somewhere from a book that I was reading, and I think I liked it because that's when you start fighting for your life. So usually people want to say after treatment, after 5 years of survival, that's when survivorship starts. But the truth is, the minute you're diagnosed, that's when survivorship starts. Your mental, like the positive attitude that you have to take through the fact that you're willing to go through treatment, all of that is a part of survivorship.
And maybe let's come to you at that moment of diagnosis. What did it mean for you personally? Maybe just take us through that journey.
I think when I was diagnosed, when the doctor said the words that we did the biopsy and the cells are cancerous, I felt a rush of emptiness go through me. But also because my dad had been diagnosed prior to this, I was kind of hopeful that, at least we caught it early, so there'll be chances of survival. But yeah, I just felt a bit hopeless in that sense. But after a few days, I started gaining more confidence in that if I go through treatment, everything would be okay.
And how has been the journey going through treatment, post the treatment?
Yeah, it's been a journey. It's been a journey. People dread cancer for a reason. It isn't the easiest of things to fight or to go through. But I think with enough support system, my journey has been easier. Also, that we caught it relatively early, it meant that my treatment didn't have to be as extensive. So yeah, it's been rough, but I'm alive to tell the tale.
But then some people that rather choose to fight it, maybe personally, they don't want to share their stories with anyone. But how did that then inspire you to become the advocate that you are, especially for breast cancer as well as early detection?
All right. I think, like I said, my dad was diagnosed. And when I was diagnosed, I was actually editing his book because he's also in the advocacy space and he wrote a book. So when I was diagnosed, I was editing his book. My first thought was to not tell anyone about it when I heard the words. But as I was reading through his book, he wrote something that was to the effect of there are certain things that as Africans we like to keep secret, but it doesn't help anyone. There are things that when we talk about, they can help everyone. So I think that's where I kind of got my inspiration. And then a few days later, I decided to share my journey.
And then obviously it's morphed into the awareness tour that I'm sure maybe you have been doing it for some time, and you've decided then to bring it to Zimbabwe. Maybe just tell us more about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was in the advocacy space, like you said, for some time, but usually it was just talks. But when I came home a couple of months ago, I was trying to think, how can I reach as many people as possible throughout the month of October when people are open to hearing about this? That's when I thought that maybe the awareness tour would be something that's amazing because a lot of young people don't, either they seem to not care. I don't want to say not care, maybe but they don't have enough information about cancer, especially for the younger, for themselves and for the younger people. So I thought maybe if I term it like a tour, it can be something cool, pop culture-ish, and people can be open to hearing about it.
Okay. So and then in terms of activities, the dates obviously start today. What will be happening so that maybe people can be aware and they become part of the tour.
Okay. Well, today here, I think Bulawayo is where we have our biggest event because it's going to actually be a whole afternoon. We're going to have creatives, social conscious rappers, spoken word, people singing as well, art on gallery, all these things in an effort to just increase awareness and to make sure that people don't view cancer as something that is so clinical, to try and put it into other spaces that people can relate to. So we thought interpreting it in art would be a good way to do it.
And as an early detection advocate, maybe let's talk more about its importance, especially for early detection, and why you did highlight that you're also targeting young people. I'm sure maybe even the way that you have packaged the tool, it's meant to also to attract young people. Why is it so important when it comes to early detection? And yeah, maybe let's speak more to that.
Okay. Early detection is one of the most critical things in terms of beating breast cancer, because once any other cancer really, once you detect it early, it won't have spread. So there's still high chances of things like chemotherapy working because it's only going to a localized place. They're trying to fight it while it's localized. Things like surgery still work. But when it's spread, it becomes a little hard. Sometimes it spreads into the bones, sometimes it reaches into the brain, which makes it a bit difficult. So our best shot at fighting cancer would be early detection. Yeah.
And maybe when it comes to young women, even young men, why is it so difficult really to accept some of these things and also even go for early detection? Because maybe they tell themselves that it's for older women or for older men. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right when you say that, because a lot of spaces that I've been in currently, they feel like cancer starts when you are in your 50s or 60s. And even if you read the material online, when they prompt early detection, they start saying things like, go for your mammograms after 40. So it seems like there's a neglect of information for the younger people, I think, which then creates a void for them to just think cancer could never happen to me. Yeah.
And maybe let's talk about the cost, because I know, especially in Africa or in Zimbabwe specifically, if you mention anything to do with hospitals, people will tell you that you don't have money. But are these services available maybe at a cheaper price or even for free in some institutions?
I think so. In terms of the Cancer Association of Zimbabwe, they try to go to different cities around the country and give free screenings. I know that there are some churches that have also started doing that. And I think there is an organization that I was speaking to just last week that tries to combine breast cancer screening and cervical cancer screening for about $15 to $20. So there are options that are out there. I think Google will be someone's best friend to go online and check, to call the Cancer Association. They can also make referrals to other organizations that work within that space. Yeah.
So if you're just joining us, this is the CITE view on CITE Online. My name is Leslie Moyo. October is recognized globally as the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, a time where we speak openly, try to encourage and spread more information about the disease, as well as encourage early detection, and also offer support to those who are affected by this disease. And I'm joined in the studio by a breast cancer survivor. She's also an early detection advocate, Lucia Bopoto. And we're just talking about the breast cancer tour that she's undertaking here in Bulawayo, which will run from the 7th to the 13th of October. Maybe coming back to the discussion, let's talk about the symptoms. What can people look out for? Maybe someone who's watching this program, what can they look out for?
Okay, so the first thing and the most common thing is lumps in your breast area, when you feel lumps that aren't normal. And I must segue here and say, a lot of people often ask me, how do I know this lump is normal and this one is the one I should look out for? But that also draws back to why self-checking is important, because once people self-check, then they now know their bodies. So they know what's normal in their breast and what's abnormal. And once you feel a foreign lump, then you can take it further with the hospital. There's also rashes. People sometimes report that they have rashes or redness, dry skin area, increase in size of your breast, as well as an inverted nipple. But also, when you're doing your self-checks, they also say you should try and squeeze just in case there's discharge. If there's discharge coming out and you aren't breastfeeding, then you also need to seek medical assistance.
Obviously, there's fear and misinformation around. People would say all sorts of things. Maybe what are some of the misinformation that you've come across that maybe you feel hinders some people from seeking treatment, especially early?
The first thing is, and this one is a big one for me, because I've lost two people in the last year who I was mentoring because of this. People think chemotherapy and radiation are what will kill you. So they often prefer to go either the traditional healing route or use herbs, which isn't wrong, but then they need to be used in combination with treatment. So a lot of times people then go for chemotherapy when it's late, and then by that time their body is weak and they can't stand the chemo, and then they unfortunately pass away. And then that feeds still into the misconception that chemotherapy will kill you. But when people go for treatment early enough, sometimes your body is still strong enough to take in the chemotherapy. So I think, yeah, it's treatment. Also radiation, people say it's being burnt, I think, in other words, but it's so uneventful. Yes, there are side effects afterwards, but the process itself is not a process of being burnt, because that notion also scares people away. They feel like I'm going to be burnt, and that's not the case.
Let me just speaking of misconceptions, I think we touched on the other one that, people would say I tend to affect older people and not young people. But the other one is that, it affects women and not men. But what are some of these misconceptions that maybe we should be demystifying now, so that at least it helps someone who's watching the program now?
Yeah, so definitely the men also get breast cancer. Statistics say that 1 in every 1,000, I'm not sure, I might be shaky on my statistics, 1 in every 1,000 men get breast cancer. But of late, we've been seeing an increase in that. Probably the research hasn't gone as far as being able to give us updated statistics, but men also do get breast cancer. It can manifest as a lump in the breast as well. Definitely all younger people. I think the youngest person who I heard of who got breast cancer was 23 years old. So it does happen in the younger communities as well. And interestingly enough, the stats are increasing. So they now say 1 in every 5 diagnoses is someone who's below 40. So there is like an increase in that, yeah.
So at what age? Maybe obviously you're mentioning people are in their 20s. So what's the age where someone can actually be trying to see if they can go maybe for screenings and
I think from 18, people can start doing like their own checks at home. That's probably the most efficient. And also because the screening techniques that are used, for example, mammograms, if you're below 40 and you haven't breastfed, then they won't be able to see clearly. In my case as well, when I went for the mammogram was crystal clear. It showed as if there was nothing wrong. And then they had to do a sauna. So from 18, if you start doing your own self-checks, then when you feel the lump, then you can take it further from there. So yeah, I think 18 up to 20 people should start self-checking.
And I think most young people are now exposed to a lot of information, especially on social media platforms, and some of it might not be correct information and might mislead them. But do you have like sources of information where, or portals or websites where they can actually visit, where they offer credible information, especially around breast cancer?
Yeah, I think the first would be WHO. The WHO offers credible information. Also, under the UN branch is their research center. I think it's called IARC. They also have like recent updated research and papers that have been done. So that also offers credible information. Also try following, because there are a lot of people who say they are doctors and then the therapies that they recommend are a bit off. So once you hear something like that, just go fact check it with WHO and then see if the information is correct. The Cancer Association of Zimbabwe also has information. Some of it may not have been updated recently, but they're also a credible place to check for information.
And what role can the media play? Because I know sometimes we're guilty of this as the media, where sometimes we wait for October to really, push the message, get people to go and check. But what can the media really do to amplify the message around breast cancer? Yeah.
I think, and I love that question so much, because I think the media has such a big role to play in normalizing conversations. I believe that when you're in media, when you're in advertising, your job is to have a big conversation so that little conversations can happen everywhere. So I feel like if media normalizes breast cancer by talking about it frequently, also not having sensational headlines that like trigger people to be scared of the thing. So if we try and normalize breast cancer, if we try and push for early detection, if we also try and break down our message that, because I think early detection saves lives, almost everyone knows it. But what does it mean for different people? So depending on our target audience, if we can break it down and show what it means, for different people, put it in a language that they understand, I feel like we'll actually get through to them.
And what should be your message that you want to leave someone who's watching the program now? And maybe it could be a message of encouragement or a message of hope, or maybe there's someone who's currently undertaking treatment for breast cancer. Yeah.
I think my encouragement is that breast cancer is not a death sentence. We have modernized medication, we've modernized technology. There's so many routes out there that we can take to fight it. So anyone going through it, just stay strong, stay on your treatment. I know there are going to be times that you feel like, is it even working? Maybe I should give up, but stay on your treatment. And then to everyone else, let's prioritize our self-checks. Let's prioritize. I always say self-check is a way of self-care. So if when you're doing your self-care days, your maintenance days, also do your self-checks. It goes a long way in fighting it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you maybe can just show us a little demo in terms of how someone can do their, they can check themselves. Yeah.
So you have to put your hand up, and then you use 4 fingers, and you feel around your breast area, all around, and even under your armpits, because we have lymph nodes there that can have lumps. So you feel all over your breast area, and then afterwards you squeeze to see if there's any discharge coming out.
All right. Thank you so much for taking time to sit down with us. Hopefully your talk will be a success here in Bulawayo, and you will impact lives and save a life around breast cancer awareness. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the CITE View on CITE Online. My name is Leslie Moya. My guest today was Lucia Bopoto. She is a breast cancer survivor and an early detection advocate, as well as a creative strategist. We're discussing about Breast Cancer Awareness Month, how it is important that we do self-checks if you're 18 and above, even if you're a male, because there's a misconception that breast cancer only affects women, or it only affects older people. So take care of yourself, and make sure that you go for regular checkups if you're able to do so. And as early detection, as Lucia said, that early detection always and it will save a life. So please go for early detection, and you might be able to save your life. Let's meet again in the next edition of the CITE View. My name is Leslie Moya. It's goodbye for now.